He stood on the touchline, a man possessed. His knee, a battlefield of torn ligaments, had betrayed him. His Euro 2016 final was over barely 20 minutes after it began. Yet, there he was, limping, screaming, a furious conductor orchestrating a symphony of defiance. He was not playing, but he was willing his team to victory with a primal force that defied logic, that transcended the physical realm of the pitch. What was this raw, almost terrifying intensity? Was it mere passion, or was it something deeper? An ancient drive that few possess, a relentless will to overcome, to dominate, to imprint oneself upon the very fabric of reality. This was not just football. This was the raw, unyielding essence of human aspiration, laid bare for all to see. Centuries ago, a German philosopher named Friedrich Nietzsche spoke of such a force. He called it the will to power. Not a desire for dominance over others, though it often manifests that way, but an insatiable, internal drive to overcome oneself, to grow, to master, to transcend. It is the fundamental impulse of all life, pushing us to become more than we are, to create our own values, to constantly strive upwards. From this will to power, Nietzsche envisioned the Übermensch, the overman. This is not a man of superior genetics, but one of superior will, an individual who, through relentless self-overcoming, creates their own meaning, their own morality, rising above the herd mentality. The Übermensch embraces suffering and challenge not as obstacles, but as forge fires necessary for their own becoming. They are a bridge, not an end, always evolving, always pushing the boundaries of what is possible for a human being. Born into poverty on the remote island of Madeira, Cristiano Ronaldo's origin story is a testament to this very concept. He was not blessed with the innate, effortless genius of some of his contemporaries. His early days were defined by an almost terrifying obsession. Hours upon hours spent honing his craft, perfecting his physique, transforming himself from a skinny kid into a sculpted athlete. He was the first to arrive at training, the last to leave. He pushed his body to its absolute limits, then found new limits to push. This wasn't just ambition, it was an existential need, a primal, unstoppable drive to overcome his circumstances, to impose his will on the world. Every training session, every goal, every record broken was a manifestation of this will to power, a defiant scream against the mediocrity he refused to accept. He wasn't just trying to be a great player, he was trying to be the greatest, a self-created titan who bent reality to his desire. The modern media, however, often struggled to comprehend this. They saw arrogance, vanity, a relentless focus on individual statistics. They labeled him selfish, a showman. They debated whether he was truly a team player or merely a collector of personal accolades. They mocked his celebrations, his preening, his obsession with his own image. But what they failed to grasp was the deeper philosophical engine driving him. His arrogance wasn't a superficial ego. It was the outward expression of an unshakable self-belief forged in the fires of constant self-overcoming. His obsession with goals and records wasn't mere vanity. It was a relentless quantification of his self-mastery, a measurable proof of his will to power in action. He wasn't just scoring goals. He was conquering the limits of his own potential, pushing the boundaries of what a human body could achieve on a football pitch. He was a force of nature, and nature rarely apologizes for its power. Mid-roll CTA goes here. The following paragraph will transition from the media's misunderstanding to the next phase of his career, as if a CTA was just delivered. This relentless drive, this singular focus, propelled him to unprecedented heights. But even the Übermensch faces trials. As the years wore on, as his explosive pace began to wane, the inevitable questions arose. Age, the ultimate adversary, began to chip away at his physical gifts. The move to Juventus, the highly anticipated return to Manchester United, the benchings, the public disagreements with coaches, and a poignant World Cup exit. These were not merely athletic slumps. They were profound philosophical trials. Could the man defined by his physical prowess adapt when that prowess began to diminish? Could his will to power transform, or would it break under the weight of mortality? His struggle against the limits of his own body, against the relentless march of time, became the ultimate test of his self-overcoming. It was a confrontation with the very essence of human finitude, played out on the global stage. Could he still impose his will when his instrument was no longer perfectly tuned? Nietzsche, however, also offered a stark warning about the dangers of unchecked will. The Übermensch, in their relentless pursuit of self-mastery, risks becoming a tyrant to themselves, isolated in the fortress of their own created values. The very force that elevates them can also alienate them. The loneliness of the one who constantly strives, who can never truly rest, who demands absolute perfection from themselves, and, by extension, from those around them, is a heavy burden. In his later career, we saw glimpses of this: the perceived selfishness on the pitch, the frustration with teammates who couldn't match his intensity, the conflicts that led to his departure from clubs. Was his will to power, once a unifying force, now becoming destructive? Was the burden of constant becoming, the inability to just be, finally taking its toll? He became a figure of controversy, admired for his achievements, but often misunderstood for his uncompromising nature. His internal struggle, the fight against the very limits of his own being, became more visible than ever. Cristiano Ronaldo is not merely a footballer. He is a living, breathing embodiment of Nietzsche's philosophy. His entire career is a testament to the will to power, a relentless, almost terrifying pursuit of self-overcoming. He has pushed the boundaries of human performance, not with effortless grace, but with an iron will, a relentless work ethic, and an unshakable belief in his own capacity to become more. He embraced suffering, defied expectations, and forged his own path to greatness. He is the Übermensch on the pitch, a figure who compels us to question what it truly means to strive, to suffer, and to achieve. Even now, as the curtain begins to fall on his legendary career, he remains a figure of intense, almost mythic striving, forever chasing a higher peak that only he can see, forever locked in a battle against himself, a testament to the unending cycle of becoming. He can never truly rest, for the will to power, once awakened, demands eternal conquest. This relentless striving, this refusal to yield, is not just a personal trait. It's a mirror held up to the very limits of human ambition, a challenge to our understanding of what it means to truly live and overcome. If this story, this deep dive into the hidden currents of Cristiano Ronaldo's psyche, has begun to change how you see the beautiful game, imagine the profound revelations awaiting you. Unlock the hidden psychology of the beautiful game. If this story changed how you see Cristiano Ronaldo, imagine what happens when you see this exact same pattern unfold across 15 more global legends and the philosophers who tried to warn us. Get the ebook, The Philosopher's Locker Room here. https pay hotmart.com D+065612 but even the Übermensch, forever striving, must confront the inevitable. The body, a vessel of the will, eventually falters. For Ronaldo, this trial wasn't a single moment, but a slow, creeping shadow. The relentless march of time. We saw it in his later years at Real Madrid, where the explosive bursts became less frequent, the sprints slightly less searing. Then at Juventus, a new kind of pressure mounted. He was brought to conquer Europe again, to elevate a club with a different, perhaps less accommodating, culture. The goals still flowed, but the effort required for each one seemed to magnify. The joyous, almost arrogant abandon of his youth gave way to a grittier, more strained determination. This was not merely an athletic slump. This was Nietzsche's crucible, a true test of the will to power. If it is not when all is easy, but when the very tools of your triumph begin to dull. Could he still command the same dominance when his physical peak was undeniably past? Could Could he still will himself to greatness even as the world around him and his own biology whispered defeat? His return to Manchester United was a final, desperate attempt to defy this biological imperative, to prove that his will alone could bend reality. It became a battle against an opponent he could not simply outtrain or outscore, his own mortality. Nietzsche himself cautioned that the will to power, left unchecked, could lead to a dangerous isolation, a tyranny of the self. The Übermensch, in their relentless pursuit of self-overcoming, risks becoming a figure divorced from common humanity, their grand vision misinterpreted as mere arrogance. For Ronaldo, this manifested as a growing chasm between his self-belief and the perceptions of others. His demands for perfection, his visible frustration with teammates' errors, his often solitary celebrations. These were not signs of malice, but the outward expressions of an internal drive that few could comprehend. The world saw ego. He saw an unyielding commitment to excellence. The media painted him as selfish. He was merely enacting his philosophy. To be the best, one must demand the absolute best, starting with oneself. Yet this very strength became a vulnerability. It fueled rivalries, created friction within dressing rooms, and sometimes alienated fans who craved humility. The burden of constant striving meant he could never truly connect on a level of shared vulnerability. He was the solitary peak admired from afar, but perhaps lonely at the summit. His drive, once a source of endless power, began to cast long, lonely shadows. So, what is Cristiano Ronaldo? He is not just a footballer with a record-breaking career. He is a profound philosophical statement, an echo of Nietzsche's most challenging ideas played out in real time. He is the man who dared to will himself into greatness, who understood that power is not given but taken through incessant struggle and self-conquest. His career is a testament to the idea that human potential is boundless, if only the will is strong enough to shatter every self-imposed limit. He forced us to witness the terrifying beauty of absolute ambition, the sheer force of a human spirit refusing to be anything less than legendary. He did not merely play the game, he conquered it, and in doing so, he became exactly what Nietzsche tried to describe, a force of nature, a myth made flesh, forever bound by the eternal conquest of his own will. Unlock the hidden psychology of the beautiful game. If this story changed how you see Cristiano Ronaldo, imagine what happens when you see this exact same pattern unfold across 15 more global legends and the philosophers who tried to warn us. Get the ebook, The Philosopher's Locker Room here. https://youtube.hotmart.com D10624Y times. Alienated fans who craved humility. The burden of constant striving meant he could never truly connect on a level of shared vulnerability. He was the solitary peak admired from afar, but perhaps lonely at the summit. His drive, once a source of endless power, began to cast long, lonely shadows. So, what is Cristiano Ronaldo? He is not just a footballer with a record.